or as Brew calls him, J-Lo.
Yeah.
The Packers QB has the 7th best odds to win MVP next season. Obviously, I can see it happening, but Brew, could you?
Absolutely. I think that's a fair ranking. I'm not saying he's the favorite, but right, and I'm just doing quarterback.
Yeah.
I got 9 guys that I think would have a realistic shot. Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick, Burrow.
Thanks.
Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, J-Lo, Baker. I'm going to throw Baker in there. I don't know if they'll have the record. And Jalen Hurts. Of those,
I'm sorry I don't want to break the show. Are you as heartbroken by me as Bruce's total abandonment of Brock Purdy?
No, we're talking MVP.
We're talking about Purdy almost won MVP a couple years ago.
He didn't
even make it.
He didn't make his
I'm just saying, he's not going to win MVP.
What a cold, hard turn.
When you fall out of love,
my goodness gracious. But go ahead.
All I'm saying is I don't see an MVP this year. No, but
It's unbelievable. Where you got Baker Mayfield on there ahead of Brock Purdy.
Baker would be ninth because I don't know if they'll have the great record, but and Wayne said they're the youngest team in the league. They've gotten better, I guess they didn't get better this year, but I think, he's got a nice receiving core that was banged up in the playoffs. So the receiving core is deep and solid. Obviously, Josh Jacobs. They don't really have weaknesses. You've said they got a lot of good players, but I think some of these young guys might become great players. And J-Lo, he took a step backwards, but I'm hoping that this humbled him, right? I think he got the big money, first year as a starter. He comes out, lights the league on fire over the second half and in the playoffs, and maybe he got a little full of himself. I think he has to go back in the lab and he'll be better.
What did you feel like he's took a step back this year? How did you, as a diehard Packer fan?
I didn't feel he took a step back. I feel like he's the way he's supposed to be.
I'm skipping.
Look like a guy that took a step back. Like the touchdowns are down, but the yards per attempt are up. A better record actually, because 9-8 is worse than 9-6. Because he missed the time. So I don't think it's so much, Coach, that year over year he took a step back. I think it's that if you looked at 2023 as 2 different years, right? And I don't know if I'm stepping on what you were going to say, but the first half of 2023. It looked like, oh man, the Packers might actually have to be on the quarterback wheel. And then in a game actually that I thought it was great fortune, but then it was really just a miserable, it was so sad. I watched with you at your house in LA. His first big moment was beating the Chiefs 2 years ago, and that was the start of this great run. From that moment forward, he was awesome. And then this year, he didn't recapture that level of play. And so that, to me, is where his stats cumulatively year over year are very similar, but he was 2 different players within one season his first year as a starter.
Yeah, that's why in these types of moments, I think it's very unhelpful to look at stats. I think when you really focus so heavily on stats, it's often an indicator that you haven't really watched the games. Now, again, you guys all know that I have a love-hate relationship with stats, and it's very important to highlight stats when it's not, when stats can be misleading, when they can be representative. And that's why I love Greg Cosell, what he said. He's like, I don't use stats. I use stats to, kind of clarify what I'm already seeing on film. And I think that's a great way to look at it. So, it's very meaningless, especially when you're comparing 23 to 24. His last season, the season before, so 2023 to 2024, those seasons unfolded completely different. There was completely different expectations, different sets of injuries to various players on and off for both him, both Jordan Love himself individually as well as the team around him. Just different entirely. So just looking at the pure stats as an indicator of anything is pretty meaningless to me. Jordan Love is young enough. Now, again, I know he's been in the league for a little bit, but he's only been a starter, obviously, for the 1 year. Or for the 2 years now. He was the first full year starter. So I'm just going to act like that's his rookie year. I know it's not officially the rookie year. Not all rookie years are equal. But in terms of his actual truly development, that was his rookie year. And so now you're going from that first year to that second year as a starter. It's tough to now expect that essentially a second-year player is going to be able to overcome and manage high levels of adversity pretty easily. Because you're just expecting too much out of a young quarterback. And so the fact that he got injured from the jump, then fell out of rhythm with everyone else, got banged up again, now had his team as a whole get banged up. You know, there was like this team was from the very beginning was never able to really find their rhythm. If you really go back and watch these games, there was a couple games, and the one, I think it was the Thanksgiving game, if memory serves me correctly, when they played the Miami Dolphins. That was when everything really just clicked. And I was just like, this game was awesome. This is what I've been waiting for the Green Bay Packers to do. And on a day when it was just really ugly, bizarre football from everyone involved, the Green Bay Packers shined. And you were just like, this is high-level football. And I did not necessarily see that early on. And I did not see that from that point forward. And this whole time, because I kept saying, I think the Green Bay Packers can be great. I think they can be great, but like I need them to kind of put it all together. And they just never were. And they came out, you know, in important games, kind of just like, do you understand what the stakes are here? Like, are you ready to play? Like, what is going on? You know, not ready to play against the Lions, not ready to play against the Vikings, not ready to play against the Eagles I almost said in the Super Bowl, in the first round. And then now they ended up dealing with a ton of injuries at that game too. But as we know, the Philadelphia Eagles were obviously a great team. They won the Super Bowl. But they just could not put it together. Everybody was never really fully on the same page. They just weren't there. And there was moments in games where I thought Matt LaFleur put on an absolute masterclass. An absolute masterclass of coaching. And it was awesome. And then there was other moments where I'm just kind of like, I don't understand. Like, what are you doing here? And what are you doing to get Jordan Love comfortable? And they kept falling into this trap where it was either just run or go for a home run shot with Jordan Love. And I'm just like, it's just like where's the nuance right now? Where's the nuance? And when you go back and watch some of these games, the best metaphor that I can put it on is like, it felt like this team was playing on ice. Everything felt slippery. Everything felt rushed. Everything felt more chaotic. There was no smoothness. Even in some of the highs. There was just it just didn't seem like it just felt weird to even watch. And that's why I like to throw out the numbers and the stats. Because it's just like, what is the felt experience of watching this team play? Does this feel smooth? Does this feel like when something positive happens, it was actually intentional? It was actually because that's the way it was supposed to go. Or was it kind of like, yeah, I'm glad they scored, but that drive was a little weird. Like, I know they went 80 yards and scored a touchdown, but like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what that was. And the Packers had too many of those moments. And then they had too many moments when they straight up failed, and you're just like, what the heck was that? You're like, what? That's not what this team is supposed to be right now. Like, what? Huh? And there was just too much of that. And I am mega high on Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. Mega high. But this past season was jarring. And I chalk it up to injuries and this disconnection and everyone just kind of out of rhythm with one another. That's why I like rolled my eyes when Bruce said, "Oh, Jordan Love got full of himself." Like, no, that's not what that story was. You know, just because someone has a bad season or a season that doesn't do exactly what they wanted to, doesn't mean that they got too, you know, cocky or full of themselves or not putting into the work. Like that's just, you know, if you're gonna make a comment like that, have it actually based on reality. Have it be because like you have an insider source and someone said, "Dude, Jordan Love was really feeling himself, wasn't willing to put in the work." Like, if you have reports of that, then fine. But don't just put that on someone. That's a strong statement to make about someone. And that's not the impression that I got from Jordan Love at all. Not even for a second. So I just want to not casually drop that, quite frankly. I think that's just, you know, not the most appropriate thing to do. But I think so much of the success around the Green Bay Packers really has to come from Jordan Love in Matt LaFleur's relationship evolving. And Matt LaFleur needs, and I do believe this, and again, I think Matt LaFleur is an awesome head coach. I think he needs to do a better job of coaching Jordan Love. He needs to put Jordan Love in more consistent positions to succeed. Because the dude can make every play on the field and every single throw on the field. And it's a gift and a curse. And I just do not think that Matt LaFleur did a good enough job of just simplifying the game for him, shrinking it, making it smaller, and just having everything just be a little bit more, I always call it small ball, which is definitely not the official term in the NFL, but it's just doing all of the little things and just making that the foundation rather than, oh, look, Jordan Love can sling the ball 45 yards down the field on one leg. Isn't that awesome? And it's like, yeah, it is awesome, but can we just get a nice 6-yard pass to our tight end here? And that's what I've been crying and screaming, develop that relationship. But I kept saying, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Gronk, Brady, develop the relationship with the tight ends. That needs to be this workhorse dynamic here. And obviously the run game as well, and playing complementary football with your defense. Because that's also something, because again, and Kurt Warner really highlighted this well before on his channel, which I recommend check out. And he talked about so much of what really makes Jordan Love such a difficult player to play against defensively is how aggressive he is and how you're constantly kind of putting the defense on their back foot. That it's very kind of if we make a mistake, we're about to get burned. But it is something that still kind of needs to be balanced out. And that's why, he has a whole clip essentially defending his interceptions, highlights how a lot of his interceptions were kind of just bad luck, unfortunate, et cetera, et cetera. Great plays by the other team. So I definitely recommend it. But I still think there needs to be a brand of complementary football with your defense, understanding your opponent better, and not just saying this is our game plan and we're just going to do whatever we want, rather than having some of that, because sometimes that is the way to go, but also just understanding your opponent, understanding the score, the moment in the game, how the game is unfolding, and letting the game dictate your decisions as well. Sometimes people think that's almost admitting a weakness of some sort, because it's well, this is what we're doing and this is what we worked on. And it's well, sometimes you got to let the flow of the game take you where you need to go. And again, look no further than the playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles ended up playing essentially a very conservative brand of football in that game. And Tom Brady, because then the crowd was booing them, and Tom Brady himself said, this is smart. They have the lead. Their defense is playing really well. The Packers look disconnected right now. Their offense isn't doing too well. There's no reason to try to force anything and make any type of mistakes, because it was 3rd and long, and Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts just hand the ball off, and it led to a punt. And Tom Brady was like, that's smart. That's smart situational complementary football. And it was the exact opposite of what the Green Bay Packers did. And so, there needs to be this next evolution. But this is also just a silly question. Buying this could happen? Yeah, of course. What do you mean? And then Brew just lists every quarterback, every top quarterback could, yes, any top quarterback in the NFL has a chance to win the MVP. I don't think that's very shocking. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, yes, and Jordan Love is in that mix as well. Going into the season, my top 2 candidates were C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, because the media wants these quarterbacks to be great. If you're talking about Jordan Love having a great year, C.J. Stroud having a great year, and Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, the media is going to favor a Jordan Love. But again, this team has to be the number 1 or number 2 seed or something, which is going to be harder for sure. But there's got to be, I want to see a step in the right direction in the relationship and the management of LaFleur with Jordan Love, more than Jordan Love's game itself. I want to see the management of Jordan Love. Obviously, you want to see him evolve as a quarterback as well, make better decisions, et cetera, but that stuff also takes time. They saw the maturity and the growth of someone even like Josh Allen, who's now been a starter for years, who's lit this league on fire. Yet there was many times in this game, in throughout this season alone, you were able to say that's the evolution of Josh Allen. That's the maturity of Josh Allen. Even again in his one playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens, you had Tony Romo say that as well. That's the maturity and evolution of Josh Allen. These things take time to evolve and grow. But the relationship, now that you have some continuity, you have 2 seasons with LaFleur and Jordan Love, I'm a little less patient on that. Because something like a Josh Allen, he hadn't really had that continuity with an offensive coordinator. He's already had like 3 or 4 OCs, which is a big deal when your head coach is defense. That's essentially like getting just, multiple head coaches. So Jordan Love has the massive gift. Because now even look at CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud now has a new OC. And it's just kind of like, what is that going to look like? Jalen Hurts, he's had a new OC every single season. So Jordan Love has the gift of continuity. He has the Andy Reid. And so I really put more pressure at this point on Matt LaFleur, that I need to see more moments where I go, that was LaFleur. Because there's plenty of times that I watch the Kansas City Chiefs and see Patrick Mahomes and I go, that's Andy Reid. That is the genius of Andy Reid. That's what this coming season, as far away as it is, that's what I'm looking for. I want to be able to have more games where I go, dude, Matt LaFleur, that touchdown drive, that was LaFleur. Yeah, I know Jordan Love just went 5 for 5 for 75 yards, but dude, Matt LaFleur was on one. That's what I want to see. I need to see more of that. So it's kind of just a wait and see at this point. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Green Bay Packers? Are you buying that Jordan Love could win the MVP? I don't really understand. I mean, I guess we have to just have some sort of question to have a jumping off point for a segment. But I don't understand why it would be so hard to buy. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.